Hey, y'all, welcome back to the Late Night Vision Show. This is episode number 130, and my name is Jason. I'm the owner of Outdoor Legacy. We specialize in all things night vision and thermal imaging. And as always, I've got my co host with me, Hans from the Hans East Texas YouTube channel from Ben Wheeler, Texas. What's going on?
Oh, not much. Ben Wheeler, Texas, we had our annual Wild Hog Festival this weekend, which I probably mentioned it, I don't know, a couple dozen times on this show over the last three years. But Ben Wheeler is the official hog capital of Texas. Every year we have a festival, a parade. They crown a hog queen, and I think and a king. I don't know if they do a king, but they definitely do a queen. Had a good concert out there. Roger Krager, who's a big Texas country music
Man,
artist, played
didn't
out
know he
there,
was
and
there.
we had a good old. It was probably the best Wild Hog Festival of all the ones I've been to, and I think it's been going on for 10 or 11 years. But they've got they have a wild hog cook off where you've got you got teams cooking. They come out the night before. They cook all night. They make wild hog chili, all kinds of stuff. So they have that contest. They had Jason, you might get a kick out of this. They had a hot pepper eating contest where
Ah.
these guys had to eat six different hot peppers. And
Mm.
so you go in stages. So you start with like jalapeno, then go to habanero. Then there were three different levels of ghost peppers that they had to eat. And the
Who
way
would
that you
voluntarily do this?
and the way that you are disqualified is if they have a glass of milk sitting right by them, and if you have to drink that milk, you're out of the contest. So basically, you've got to eat
Oh,
without drinking anything. And
oh.
there was one guy that had to stop, and he ran over to the creek and had to he ended up throwing up in the creek, and and then the guy that won though, he was slamming those peppers like it was nothing, and I saw him walking away with the trophy very, very quickly, headed towards the bathroom. I don't know what happened. I don't know what was going on.
You're not going to make any
I
predictions.
don't know. And I think the prize was like $200 and a big trophy. And man, I just don't know if it was worth $200 to suffer that kind of pain. But three different levels of ghost peppers, which
No
if anybody
thanks.
knows, those are. I mean, I've never had them. I don't think I'm. Hope to think I'm a little bit smarter than that, but it seems a
No, no.
little
Well,
crazy. But we had that, and then last night had a guest come out to East Texas to hunt with me. A gentleman by the name of AWR Hawkins. He is on Instagram. He is a a columnist or writer for Breitbart News. He writes all of their gun articles, anything in the news that's related to the Second Amendment or any type of gun topics that comes up. He writes on it. He came out to East Texas. It was a nasty night. It sprinkled and spitted all night long, but we were able to call in some hogs, and he got to shoot them. He got to shoot a coyote. So one thing that he was really impressed about was the ability to call in hogs. Now he's hog hunted before. He's hog hunted up pretty much all over the South, but he's never called in hogs. And as you know, if you listen to this show much, you know Jason and I are big believers in the convergent bullet HP, and Glenn guesses hog calls, and we use them. I use them every night I go out, and we were able to call in a group of hogs out of the woods. We didn't even know they were there really, and turned on the caller. We could, Jason, it sounded and it felt like rolling thunder just heading towards us. And by the time we saw the hogs when they came out of the woods at us, there was a group of at least 10, and they were 20 yards from us when they come out of the
wow.
woods. And I mean, you could hear them coming, just grunting and running. I mean, it was like rolling thunder, and it just gets gives you the chills when you think about it, when you hear
Mm,
it, because you know, like, they're going to be on top of us at any second. And we put him on some hogs.
wow.
He was really excited about that, and he just thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Well, that is really cool. I'll tell you, speaking of those calls and the convergent, yesterday afternoon, my son and I, he's just turned 6, and he wanted to go hunting, and I wanted to take him out because we've got deer season coming up, and my daughter's 11, and so she's already deer hunting, so I'm going to be spending a lot of time with her. So I was like, yeah, I'll take you. So he wanted to go hog hunting, and so we were going to go out and try to call some hogs in the daylight. And we put the caller out, and it was that same kind of nasty weather you were talking about, but it was daylight. But man, we were calling. We had that thing turned up and trying to call some hogs in. And after about 10 minutes of it, my son looked at me and he said, Daddy, I think we might as well go to the house. They're not falling for our tricks today. I said, no, they're not. So I was kind of thinking about him. I was like, he's like some of these guys that do it for 10 minutes and they didn't call one in, so it must not work. Just
exactly.
go to the house. But,
exactly. Yeah, he's definitely in that group of
yeah,
people. That
exactly. He's not a believer, I guess. Didn't work once, so it'll never work. But,
yeah, we've done quite a few shows or topics about hog calling, and Jason and I are big believers in it. We do it quite a bit. I take a caller with me every night, and it's really good if you don't have a lot of spots to travel to scan just from roads.
Yeah.
You've got a couple pieces of property to hunt and there's nothing out in the field. You throw the collar down and it gives you a chance to get something in that you may not have known was out there. So it's
absolutely.
We don't have to go on to that because we're big believers in it.
It's another tool in your toolbox.
It is, but there's a lot of non-believers out there and they think that it's not real or it's fake or that you can't call in hogs. And I mean,
hey, let them believe that. More hogs for us. That's okay.
When we started talking about the conversion, I know a lot of people in my area went out and bought one, and they've been killing a bunch of hogs with them. I kind of regret telling everybody about them because they do good with them, and the hogs do get trained to it. They figure it out pretty quick though, so you can't run it forever.
No, that's right. Well, hey, folks, listen, we got a great show for you this week, and we're going to do something different on episode 130. And I say different. It's different compared to about the last, I don't know what, 5, 6, 8, 10, 30 episodes, whatever it is.
I told Jason, I was like, man, we got to do something different next week. These reviews are just killing us. I mean,
we are. I don't know how many shows in a row. We'd have to look back, but I think since I got back from vacation in August, I think all of September and October, we've just basically done nonstop back-to-back reviews of scopes. We've got so many things. And the truth is we just keep saying, that we've got more things to do than we do weeks left in the year. And it's true. And we're just not going to get to them. We've just decided. It's just kind of like there comes this point that you go, I give up. we're going to get to them when we get to them. And so I'm getting a lot of questions. I'm getting emails. I'm getting comments on Facebook, phone calls. Hey, when y'all going to review XYZ? Why haven't y'all reviewed this? And it's just this pile of stuff. Yeah. And everybody wants the scope that they're interested in to be reviewed. And we want to review all of them, but they're just not timing. We were getting burned out. We know that a lot of our loyal listeners that listen to this show every single week that aren't looking to buy anything right now, they don't want to hear review after review for 10 weeks in a row. So we decided to give everybody, y'all and us, a break and kind of just bring up a current event, something that is going on right now that we don't really have an answer to, but it's something that I think is going to affect a lot of people, Hans and I included, as well as we know a lot of our listeners. And that is the subject of AR-15 pistols that have braces on them. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, the federal law under the National Firearms Act, basically, and I'm not going to explain the whole law because it's very confusing, but basically anything that is considered a pistol cannot have a stock attached to it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that would, if it does, it makes it a short-barreled rifle or an SBR. And an SBR has to have a federal tax stamp. Just like when you buy a suppressor, you got to apply for that stamp. It takes a long time to get it. You pay $200, all that jazz. A lot of other little, boxes that have to be checked and things have to be done. Same thing if you want to get an SBR or a short barrel rifle. So in the last several years, there's been several manufacturers, who have come out with these braces, and they are attachments that you can normally put around your arm, wrap a piece of Velcro around. They help you hold the rifle out as a pistol and shoot it. But as time has evolved, these braces have begun to look more and more and more like rifle stocks. Some look just like them. They're collapsible. There's some. I mean, if you looked at it, you'd think it was a rifle stock. But these manufacturers have letters of approval from the ATF allowing these, saying yes, this complies within our laws. And there's been some different opinions from the ATF and letters that basically said you can shoulder these devices as long as you weren't intending to build a rifle when you added this brace to it. But if in the course of using it, you do put it up to your shoulder and fire it, that doesn't automatically, break the NFA. So it is a complicated situation, but there's some things that have happened recently, and I'm going to let Hans. We've both been reading up on it. He's been watching a lot of stuff recently. He and I have been following this because we both own several pistols with some of these braces. As you know, we use both braces, both pistols and rifles, and so it's something that we've been watching closely. And I know Hans has kept his finger on it, and so I'm kind of let him explain what's going on here.
Well, I kept my finger on it because I think I got a phone call from you like, the world is on fire. We got to do something. So
it's true.
Yeah, no. Just in case ATF is listening, I've never shouldered any one of my pistols. I strap it to my forearm and shoot free-handed with it strapped to my forearm in case anybody's listening out there.
In case anybody is wondering.
Yeah, never shouldered it. Never shouldered it. Now, yeah, this is man, if you are anywhere, if you're listening to this show, it's probably because you're in the community being night vision hunters, coyote hunters, hog hunters, shooting, any type of that kind of stuff. If you're listening right now, you are probably familiar. If you're not, we're going to give you the Cliff's Notes version as best that we can explain it. But Jason is absolutely right. There's been a lot of things going on, really a lot of developments since this started. I want to say that this really kicked off about a month ago is when it really got hot and heavy as far as what the ATF is doing and what seems like some pretty major steps that's going to affect probably, they say there's about the most popular brace manufacturer right now is SB Tactical. And they think that there's the estimated count is somewhere around 4 million brace owners across the United States.
That's a ton.
Yeah. So any type of change in regulation from the ATF could essentially make a big segment of gun owners across the United States felons overnight without really doing anything at all, just with really a stroke of the pen or these days.
Yeah, and I want to just interrupt here. I'm sorry, real quick, something to make a point. So originally, the issue was you could put these braces on your rifle, or I'm sorry, on your pistol, but you couldn't shoulder them.
Right.
Well, then it was like, oh no, you can shoulder them, and if you in these certain situations, if you do this, it doesn't immediately make you a felon, and blah blah blah. But this is absolutely a legal item to have on your firearm.
Right.
Okay, so that's an important point here. Whether you're shouldering it, whether you're using it as the brace was intended, strapping it to your arm, it was a legal item to have. What Hans is talking about here, if the ATF just reverses course on these opinions and says, nope, it is not legal. The reason that he says millions of gun owners become felons is you have this device attached to your pistol that now makes it an unlicensed and unregistered short barrel rifle, which is absolutely a felony. And that when he says overnight, that's exactly what it means. I mean, you would have to take this thing apart to be within the law. You could not use it with this device on here. So I just wanted to be clear. I've heard some guys say, oh, well, you just can't shoulder it. It's like, no, that's not what's at stake here. What's at stake here is that you own a device, a firearm that in its state can become absolutely illegal to own without disassembling it.
Yeah, it's exactly right, Jason. And I'm beginning to learn because I'm dealing with some stuff on YouTube with some kind of restrictions and censoring type stuff because of the hunting videos that I do and the content that I have, and I'm kind of finding out with some of these social media platforms and even with the ATF. The rules are very vague, and they're vague for a reason. It's because it gives them the ability to change course and change their mind and really stay within their own parameters, which are not very clear and defined. And it makes it doesn't bind them to something very, very specific. So, just like this all got kicked off, and to go to the very beginning, many of you may have heard of the suppressor and gun manufacturer called Q, very popular. Have some high end rifles, really good quality rifles, and one of their specific models, the Honey Badger, was ruled to be. It's sold with an SB tactical brace, but it's a little bit different than the ones that we're buying online or in stores. It's specifically designed for the Honey Badger rifle or pistol, and so the ATF went and did an audit, which is a common thing, I think, but they did an audit at their manufacturing facility. They said, okay, everything looks good. A month later, the Q gets a cease and desist letter from the ATF saying that you can no longer sell that Honey Badger pistol the way it is with that brace. It is a short-barreled rifle. What that meant was that everybody that had, and this was retroactive, anybody that had purchased that Honey Badger pistol was now in possession of a short-barreled rifle. And so they had to stop selling that model, and everybody's scrambling, that has these specific types of pistols of what to do next. So that caused what happened, with the Q. They went to the ATF. Hey, let's work this out. Give us some specific parameters to work within. We definitely want to be compliant, and we don't want to, make our customers felons overnight. And the ATF basically told them, no, we're not going to put anything in writing because you could use that against us in court. It's basically what they told them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And which is insane. That doesn't sound like an institution or an organization that wants to proactively work with gun manufacturers to make safe what they claim, the ATF, they want to make safe firearms. That doesn't seem like a type of institution that wants to work with a community to make things safer. It seems like they are trying to make things more difficult. I mean, and that's what it sounds like. And there's going to be a lot of comments on this video, and a lot of this has to do with politics. It's an election year. At the time that this cease and desist letter went out, it was a month before the election. Now we're like a week out. There are people within the ATF right now that are not sympathetic to President Trump. They're holdovers from other administrations. You would not call them very friendly towards the president. And there seems to be a lot of posturing right now from the ATF, whether it be standing up against the Trump administration. Maybe they're anticipating a new president coming in, and they're wanting to start kicking off and changing things. But really, a lot of people think that this Q Honey Badger is the first step, and the first step with SB tactical braces. Now, why I don't own a Honey Badger from the Q. Jason doesn't either. A lot of you don't. Some of you do, but a lot of you don't. What the concern is, we do own SB tactical braces. So is this the first start? This special SB tactical brace that was designed for the Q, is this going to roll into further, that the SBA 3 and SBA 4, which Jason and I both own, are those going to be next on the list? There's no way to know.
Can I answer this question? I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
It is going to be. I think we all know what it is.
This definitely seems like the first step in what they're trying to do with give them some type of precedent to make all of these braces non-compliant, or I don't want to say illegal, but not compliant with the regulation.
Yeah.
And so that has a lot of people in our community concerned. It's, let's face it now, most of the pistols, most of the guns you see out shooting hogs are pistols with braces. That's just the popular thing right now. They're easier to walk around with. They're easier for hog hunting. Just people like them. Jason, you love your
Yeah.
12-inch Grendel. I love my 12-inch Grendel and some of the other pistols I got. They're just the type of hog hunting we do with moving around in a bunch. That 12-inch 12-inch barrel with the 8-inch suppressor on it is a
Yep.
lot better than carrying a 16 or 18-inch barrel with a suppressor on top of that. It makes it a lot easier.
Life
And
is, yeah.
so, I've been following this there. So what has developed recently? So there was a cease and desist from the ATF to the Q to stop producing the honey badgers. And the Q said, let's work this out. Tell us what to do. ATF said, we're not going to work with you. You figure it out on your own, pretty much. Well, there has been a steady roar from the gun community. The NRA, I think, has done a decent job. They probably could do a little bit more. But there has been some people on our side that has gotten involved. I think Representative Matt Gaetz, and then there was another House of Representative member that signed a letter over to the Department of Justice to get involved. And the Department of Justice actually has gotten involved. They basically sent kind of, and I'm probably explaining the legal terms of this wrong, but basically suspended the cease and desist order from the ATF to the Q. The DOJ said to the ATF, you know what, stand down for 60 days. Basically, your cease and desist.
Is it 60 or 30?
I think it's 60. I think it was
Okay,
a 60 day.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's a 60-day stand down order, basically, just telling them that, hey, your cease and desist is not
Yeah.
not
Wait till
not
the
enforceable.
election is over,
Yeah, it
and then
pretty
we'll
much-
come back
yeah.
to this fight.
Well, it's pretty much what Washington does, kick the can down the road. But, I was glad to see that, they got involved. The DOJ has gotten involved. There's been some representatives. There's been a lot of, well, come to find out, I don't know if this is true or not, but I have heard, and I think even the gentleman that owns the Q or runs the Q said this, that Donald Trump Jr. owns this rifle, the pistol, the Honey Badger Q.
Really?
And supposedly he
Wow.
owns one, the president's son. So does that make the president's son, a felon if he has one of these things? But so what we have now, in the situation we have now, we have a 60-day stay of a cease and desist letter.
Yeah.
And but here's the problem. Things are still up in the air. We think, elections have consequences. We're going into a big election coming in very, very soon. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that are not voting for Trump or against Trump just because of the Second Amendment or gun rights. But there's a lot of listeners to this show that's very important too. I don't know it's very important to Jason and I, amongst other things. But, those are, we talk about the Second Amendment and the Bill of Rights, and the right to bear arms is a right that every American has, no matter your age. Well, it does matter your age, but your
I don't
race.
know if it should, but
Yeah, no matter your race, your whatever, male, female, it doesn't matter. Everybody has the right to bear arms, and that's a right that we all have, and we all want to protect. Now, these different classifications, and where the ATF really starts tripping you up is these rifles and short barrel rifles, and doing these. They make things so dang difficult. It's just unbelievable.
on purpose.
So on purpose. So, Jason and I are scrambling. What are we going to do? We got to get out ahead of this thing. We've got to go ahead and file our SBR, get our Form 1 for our SBR, our stamp. And so I've already kicked off the process, but I'm going to tell you, it's a big pain in the butt. It is, especially doing this by myself. I'm using a third party to help out, but I'm still having to get fingerprint cards, and I've already gone through all this with getting suppressors, having to do fingerprint cards, passport photos, signing over your life, you have to have a trust.
You got to there's a lot that goes on. I mean,
It's
you have to
it's
have you got to have your lower engraved. I mean, there's a lot of things here. I mean,
it's
it's a big
unbelievable what
deal.
you do, and we all know what this is about. It's making it more difficult to do to get this done. I mean, once you file the paperwork, everything's good to go. I don't think the wait is very long. It's not anywhere near what a suppressor is, but it's still getting all this stuff together is not
It
fun.
might be though when everybody starts doing this.
You're exactly right.
I mean, when everybody runs to go do this, yeah, these weights could quadruple.
So I know a lot of y'all out there are using pistols with braces. Like we said, we're a big fan of it. I know if you're on social media at all, this has just been, we had to talk about this. And I told Jason this was a good time to bring it up because we've done so many reviews. But this is an important issue for all of us because although we are glad that there is a 60-day stay on this cease and desist letter, I think as a community, we've got to prepare for the worst case scenario. And the worst case scenario is the ATF is looking to make a move on these braces for whatever reason. All of a sudden, it's stuck in their crawl on this thing. And, whether it's a 16-inch barrel or a 12-inch barrel, if it has a stock or a brace, does that really make it safer? I think you and I were talking about it before.
No, everybody knows it's not about that. It's about control. It's not about safety. It's never been about safety.
It's never about safety.
No. And I'm going to say this too, and I don't want this to turn into a political deal because that's really a whole nother big subject. But you said something, I know it's going to come up in the comments because you just said a worst case scenario. Well, I think we all know a worst case scenario is that long term, these things reach way out past just pistols and SBRs, and it goes into ridiculous things. I mean, we had the Brady bill before, high capacity magazines and all this jazz. I think there's a lot of potential depending on how these elections play or this election plays out and what happens the next few years. I think we have an uphill battle on a lot of these things that we've been taking for granted for about the last 10 years of just cheap ARs, cheap ammo, cheap magazines, plentiful everywhere. I think we're going to be in for some surprises on that, depending on how this election plays out. And I am extremely concerned about what the long term of some of this holds. And so I think it's going to be a mess.
It is. And here's what I want to say about this whole thing. This is not me on my soapbox, but we cannot give an inch. If we give an inch, they're going to take a mile. And it starts with braces. And then what does it go to? Does it go to all ARs? Does it go to, certain types of ARs? This is what they're chipping away at it. And they know what to do. We know what the end goal is. I mean, let's face it. We know what they want to do. They want to get rid of all firearms. But they are doing it in a way where they're playing the long game. We're going to chip away at it. We're going to skirt the line of the law, and we're going to come up with these arbitrary rules and regulations to make it difficult to understand, to produce and manufacture firearms. And we cannot give an inch. And we've got to take a stand on these braces. There's a lot of things that you can do, contacting your local representative, email, phone calls, the NRA. We've got to make our voices known as a community. There's a lot of, if you want to find out more information on who to contact, if you're on Instagram, or they're probably on Facebook too, if you search the official Q, like the letter Q, it is all there. Obviously, it's all they're talking about right now because they're in the mess of it. But they've got a lot of information up on their sites about who to contact to get the most effective voice out there. But we cannot give an inch, and I know I keep saying that, but it is. We're all seeing the erosion of the Second Amendment, whether it be high capacity magazines that are, the California where you gotta buy ammo at the gun shop and show an ID, and it takes an act of Congress to get ammo out there, and they're putting the squeeze on us, and they know what they're doing.
Yeah, and I just want to say one thing, and then I'm going to get off. This will be my little soapbox. But I see this online. I see this on social media, on message boards, and I hear guys say it in person, guys that I'm even friends with. And I mean, customers on the phone, whatever. A lot of people say, well, you know what? It doesn't matter. They're not going to get my guns. I'm not going to turn mine in. They don't know what I got. Well, okay, that's all fine and dandy. But listen, and if you're one of these guys, don't take this bad. That is a ridiculous argument because here's the thing. Let's just say that whether it's a rifle with a brace, let's say it's a high capacity. Let's just say there's something tomorrow. They say this is illegal. You can't have it. You got to go turn it in. You got to destroy it. You got to cut it in half. You've got to change it, whatever. And you go, well, I'm not going to do it. They don't know I got it. I'll do what I want. Well, that's great. Wonderful. Go for it. You can't put it in your truck and drive down the road because you know, if you get pulled over, now you're going to go to jail for a federal felony. All right. So you can't use it. You got to use it on your own property. You can't take pictures with it. You can't tell anybody you got it. Okay. Then you die and you leave this to your kids. Awesome. You've just made your kids felons.
Yeah.
Now your kids own something that they can't use. I mean, come on. I mean, so to me, I mean, and I hear guys say this is like an excuse, like, well, it won't affect me because nobody knows. Well, it's ridiculous. Okay, you're right. I mean, you can keep it, and you can keep it buried under, the barn floor in there, and you got to go pull it out and dust it off. But that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I mean, and yes, you may leave it in your gun safe, and you may go out on the back 40 and use it every single day of the rest of your life, and nobody know. But you still have to know, I got to be real careful. I can't have the game warden show up.
Yeah.
I can't have a cop show up or sheriff's deputy for something else that's going on. I'm not in trouble, but whatever. I can't let anybody know that I've got this. And again, when I die, my wife or my kids or whoever is left with something that they can't legally own.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
It
So
is.
Hans's point is my point. We got to get this stuff stopped before we're all felons hiding this stuff.
Well,
I mean, it's not the way to be.
And before we wrap this up, for the third time, I think, I don't think that they're going to. I think they're smarter than that. They're not going to go house to house and take your guns. I think they know that that's not going to happen. This is just my theory, and this means nothing and has no evidence behind it. I think they're going to punish you through the IRS. I think they're going to come after you financially. They can tax you, penalize you. They can put you in a bind financially if you don't produce your firearms or produce some type of proof that they deem as worthy that you don't have the firearms anymore. And they can tax you, they can fine you, they can get you in such a financial bind that you can't stay in your house. I mean, and you're ruined financially. So I think that they're going to be clever about the ways that they do it. It's not going to be a guy coming and say, hey, give me your gun. But they're going to come up with a way that's going to ruin you for not giving up your firearms. So that's my thoughts on it. Again, not any type of evidence behind it, but
No, well, and I'll close with my closing statement is I agree with that. I think that what I'm talking about is basically the same thing. Okay, you got it. You can't use it. You can't tell anybody you got it. You got to hide it, and your kids don't want it in 30 years. So in a way, it may take a generation or two, but the problem solves itself.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of ways to solve this problem on from their perspective, and none of them are good for us. So anyway, we can gun control is a topic we can jump on, and we can both get on our soapboxes, and we know all y'all, our listeners, agree with us. We know that y'all are just as upset by these things as we are, and we could all rant and rave and get on our soapboxes for a year about it.
Well, we'll probably have some updates on this if more breaking news comes out on it. We wanted to catch everybody up. If you didn't know about it, if you've heard about it and you're saying, why is Jason and Hans not talking about this? Because it's been a huge deal. We do a lot of breaking news that's scope related and night vision thermal related. But something as big as this, we definitely want to talk about it because it affects us all. But like I said, if you want to help out, if you want to reach out, best thing to do, I know the NRA has some information up. You can check out the queue on the official queue on Instagram or Facebook. They'll have some links up for places you can go. So definitely go do that and help out. Now, we're going to move on to the next topic. A lot of people are wanting to know, is there going to be a SHOT Show this year? And for those of you that do not know what a SHOT Show is, the SHOT Show is the annual trade industry show for all the manufacturers that they're selling and displaying their products to their dealers. It's the shooting, hunting, outdoors trade show. So it happens every year. Jason and I go to it. We do a show from that event every year where we show and talk about all the new night vision and thermal scopes that are coming out. Well, there's been a lot going on. And if you know anything about conventions or any type of trade shows in any cities right now, everything's pretty much locked down. So everybody wants to know, though, Jason, are we doing a SHOT Show? Are we going to Vegas and doing revealing a bunch of new products? There's been a lot of messages and comments about it so far.
It's a great question. So basically, as Hans said, this is every January in Vegas. It is the annual show for many decades now, and we don't know what's going to happen currently as the restrictions stand for Vegas. This show cannot be held. Okay, so as the restrictions are today, there has not been a major convention since the lockdowns started back in March, whenever that was. There's been no major shows. All the other major shows for this fall have canceled. The Consumer Electronics Show is the largest show in the United States, trade show, period. It's always about a week and a half before the SHOT Show. They have already canceled. The Safari Club International is a big show. I say a big show, a pretty big show that is always right after SHOT Show, and it's in different cities. This year it was supposed to be in Reno, or I say this year, 2021, it's supposed to be in Reno. They knew there was no way Reno was going to let it happen. So they said, hey, you know what? We bet Vegas is going to make it happen because the SHOT Show is going to be there. So they moved it to Vegas. Last week, Safari Club International announced that they are canceling their show, which is the week after SHOT Show, because they said they don't think it's going to be able to happen. The SHOT Show is, if it happens, it will be the very first large major trade show in the country that has happened since the virus lockdowns. There's close to 60,000 people that show up for this show. Again, all industry insiders, dealers, distributors, manufacturers, and media. It's not open to the general public. It is, at this point, it's the topic of conversation every single time I get on the phone with a manufacturer or a distributor. It's just like, hey, you think there's going to be a SHOT Show? And the SHOT Show was put on by the National Shooting Sports Foundation, which is a great foundation for the hunting industry. And they're saying right now it's going. They opened up a registration in the first or second week of October. So they're trying to get everybody to buy badges and apply to go right now.
It seems like a lot of wishful thinking.
It seems like a lot of wishful thinking. I mean, people ask if we're going. I'm like, well, we booked our flights and our hotel rooms a year ago. We booked them in January when basically we were coming home from the 2020 SHOT Show this year. We booked them for next year. I really don't know if it's going to happen. I mean, I just don't see how it can get pulled off. For basically what the NSSF is saying is that they're going to wait until sometime in November and see what these restrictions do, if they're lifted, if anything's changed, and they're going to make their final decision then. But they're claiming that they think it's going to happen. So I want this to be, we only have a couple minutes, so I'm going to wrap this pretty quick. But the question is twofold. One, is there going to be a SHOT Show in Vegas? Nobody knows. I think the general consensus between or amongst most everybody in the industry I've talked to, the further we get down this road, a lot of guys in July, August, September, oh yeah, I think we'll have it. We'll have it. Yeah. Now everybody's like, there's no way. There's no way. We're not. Yeah. So that's the first question. And then the second question is, well, what in the world happens if we don't have the SHOT Show? Because that is the week that I would say 95, maybe 98% of everything new for the hunting industry. And when I say hunting industry, I mean everything from camo to
Everything.
pistols to
Yeah.
guns to
You name it. Anything.
ammunition, you name it. This is when it comes out historically.
Yeah, camo, fidget spinners.
Exactly.
I mean, anything you could ever want or not want or ever care about is at this show.
Right. It is. And so the exceptions of those rules, which are really weird, for our industry, things like the Pulsar Thermion XG50. There was September 1st, the Axion XQ38 and the XQ38 LRF, the Sightmark Wraith 2 Power, the Envision Nox. I mean, so I think those things are already happened late summer, because I think that people see this is unlikely to happen.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think those were things that probably would have been held over to the SHOT Show if there was a legitimate chance that they thought it was actually going to happen. I think you're going to see that followed up by a lot of other companies that are unveiling things early. I know that Envision talked about releasing something, their new Nox, and their release date originally was set before SHOT Show was going to be is supposed to be going. So that was something brand new that they say is coming before then. So yeah, I think you're exactly right, and it seems like at this point we don't know, but I think we have some pretty good idea of that is probably not going to happen.
I think so, and so I know the average guy goes, well, what does this matter to me? And at the end of the day, maybe it doesn't matter, but I think as a whole, our sport, our hobby, so many of us, our livelihood, the new things do matter, and I think it's just always been really fun to have so many new things announced in basically this 3 or 4 day period. So it's like, here's the news. And I think I know if the SHOT Show doesn't happen, this stuff is going to start coming out immediately. And some of it's going to drag all the way out into spring, because there's going to be companies that say, hey, you know what? We've got this new, let's just say it's an optic. We got this new optic. We're going to have to rush up these prototypes to get to SHOT Show to announce it. We're not going to ship it for 6 months. We got to finalize it, but we've got to, well, if there's no rush, if you're not trying to beat anything or do anything, it's like, hey, why not wait 3 more months till we got, good working prototypes and we're ready for production. So I think we're going to see stuff drug out. I think it's going to be really weird. I'm not saying it's going to be any worse. I mean, if something new's coming, it's going to come. If it's not, it's not. But we're not going to have that time frame to work off of that we normally do.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that show helps the industry grow, because having all the companies there in the same spot at the same time, there's a lot of relationships that are formed between different companies, and that's how new products are designed and developed. And it helps industry grow. And I think that it's not going to cause the end of the industry, but it doesn't help it. I think it
doesn't help it, but it gives a chance for everybody in the industry to get face to face once a year. And like you said, new people meet, business relationships are made, ideas are formed, and this is an international show too. I want to be clear. I mean, Hans knows this. You walk up and down the aisles, and there is a lot of people speaking other languages besides English.
We get into meetings with manufacturers, and they ask us our opinion and what they should start looking at or doing. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that go on. But anyway, thank you all for joining us for episode 130 of the Late Night Vision Show. Not a review video. So as Jason said, we have to switch it out in and out for your sanity and for ours sometimes, because those review videos are a lot of work. But also at the same time, we like to talk about other things sometimes, and we like to talk about hunting, and we like to talk about guns. So we're going to do that from time to time. So thank you all for joining us. If you want to buy a night vision or thermal optic, you can do so. Give Jason a call at 877-350-1818. His phone has been ringing off the hook, y'all. Thank you very much. His business has grown like crazy, and he's still able to keep up. very. It's tough.
Not able to keep
maybe,
up.
maybe not mentally keep up, but he's physically still here. So, but
I
his
don't know.
business is good, and we're very blessed. So thank you all very much.
Blessed.
You can also head over to outdoorlegacygear.com, see everything on the website. You can purchase it through the website, or you can give Jason a call. Like I said, you can find Jason on all the social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, also Instagram at Outdoor Legacy Gear. And you can find me on YouTube, Hans ETX on YouTube while I'm still there. I'm going through some censorship things going on right now and fighting that and fighting appeals and all that kind of junk. But and also on Instagram. So you can find me at Hans ETX there.
Oh, that was it.
Or you could go to the website, thelatenightVisionShow.com, and find all of our past episodes. Jason, take it away.
You were talking and you stopped, and I said, man, I didn't know if the mic cut off. He was in the mid-sentence. But no, folks, thanks for coming back. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed this week of us rambling around and giving our opinions, which nobody asked for, nobody probably cares about. But if nothing else, we had a good time doing it. Hope you enjoyed it. Come back next week. I'm sure we'll have some more reviews going on. Don't know what it's going to be yet, but we'll pick something out of that big sack of scopes that we need to review. We look forward to seeing y'all next week. So between now and then, stay safe in the fields and keep making those bacon pancakes.